a bullet, would you buy the gun? I fall onto my knees, and yes, the war's already won. So please don't take me for no fool. Spend a lifetime in your shoes. Now I'm walking, yes, I'm walking through the fire. I'll keep burning on. Well, I'll hold myself together when it all goes wrong. The fires, they keep burning on. Well, I'll hold myself together when it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong, I'll take my time, I'll keep on holding on. When it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong, when it all goes wrong, I'll pull myself together, keep on holding on. Gloves off, we're finished. You by the hand I feel. I'll nurse your battle scars, but you leave my heart to bleed. So please don't take me for no fool. Spend a lifetime in your shoes. Now I'm walking, yes, I'm walking through the fire. I'll keep burning on. Well, I'll hold myself together when it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong, I'll hold myself together, keep on holding on. When it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong. When it all goes wrong, I'll pull myself together, keep on holding on. But as I try to tame my flame, you keep playing the same old games. But remember, through dark nights we burn right to the sunset, to the sunset. Through dark nights we burn right to the sunset, to the sunset. Through dark nights we burn right to the sunset. When it all goes wrong, when it all goes wrong, when it all goes wrong, I'll hold myself together, keep on holding on. When it all goes wrong, when it all goes wrong, when it all goes wrong, I'll pull myself together, keep on holding on.
All right. This is your brother Surrealism, or Prism of Realism. And we're here with a very special guest, the one and only Rebecca. What's the word? How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
All is evolutionary. All is evolving.
I know that's right. Can't complain, huh?
Look, what is that going to do if we don't bring a solution towards the complaining, right?
Oh, that's right.
Come on, look. If not, then we just love mental illness.
True.
And you know, come on, and I mean that humbly. You know, I know none of us are in a perfected state while here on Earth, but
right.
You know, everything has duality attached to it. When there's a problem, there's a solution. When there's hot water, there's cold water, right?
Cause and effect. Yep.
Well, let's jump right in, Rebecca. Can you tell us a little bit about you? What do you do? And anything else you want to share? And I'll chime in from time to time, and we'll just build up a Q&A off of the subject that you respond to.
So I'm a native of Louisiana, recently relocated to Houston. I have a credit repair business where obviously I repair credit, but I've also started to teach people how to repair their own credit. I also have a Facebook group with over 1,200 members where we talk consumer law. I'm also a real estate agent. I'm also a pharmacy technician. I wear a lot of different hats. But yeah, mainly I do credit repair.
Man, well, you know what? I mean, nowadays we gotta be like 15 job man.
For real, look, with all of these corporate giants that we have winning against us, we definitely have to have different titles. Definitely have to have multi of income.
Most definite. Now, if you don't mind, let's jump into some of this. Something that we all have. A lot of us may still be trying to figure out, well, what is credit? How the hell did I get it? Why do I need it? And what is it? Any thoughts?
Well, honestly, your credit report is basically a report on your character. This is different companies reporting how you pay your bills. Pay it on time. If you don't pay at all, if you leave balances, that's basically what they report on the public side. So, the importance of keeping your credit in order is so you can get approved for things, even though you can't be denied an extension of your own credit. In everyday life, people use credit scores. So if you're going to use your credit score, you need to make sure that your profile is up to par.
Well, most definitely. And that credit thing, man. I mean, whether we like the legal system, the law system, the financial system, judicial system,
right,
economics as a whole, whether we like the way it's operated in the US of A, we have to understand it, to learn it, to master it, to free ourselves as much as we can. Would you agree?
I agree totally.
Now, you had touched on something a little bit earlier about in the public. Could you share more about credit in the public?
So credit in the public, when you would go to a car lot to get approved for a car loan, you would need to present your social security number to them, and they would do what you would think is a credit report, a pull of your credit report. See, basically your character, to see how you pay your bill, if you can afford the car note. So that's basically what your credit score is. They're gonna see how you handle your business. If you're paying your bills on time, if you're paying them at all, how much money you're making, because they do report your employers to your credit report. So they look for that to verify income. So it's multifaceted, because they also they do public records on your credit reports now. So if you have child support and things like that, that could possibly be reported. What people don't know, though, even though it's a public thing, you have the right to say what you want reported. So just because you owe Capital One doesn't mean they can defame your character by reporting whatever they want to report on your credit report. So that's kind of what I help people get the resolution to.
And I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people think, well, they can just put all kind of information that's wrong, that's mismatched, that's inaccurate, that's not your social, not your account, and it's stuck there for 7 years, and some things go even past that, let alone a BK or a bankruptcy, that could be 10 years or more.
Yeah.
So imagine how many people who don't know that you can challenge these things. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's millions of people that don't know. I think that's why credit is such a big issue, because a lot of people are not aware that you have the choice. It's by your written consent. It's actually a law that protects you and what they can and cannot report. So, but the law doesn't protect you if you don't use it. So if they're violating your rights and you never stand up for yourself and say, hey, I know you can't do this, and document it, then nothing will ever happen. Gotta use Big Brother.
Come on now. Now you mentioned standing up for your rights.
Yeah.
A lot of us, when it comes to just standing up with the rights with credit, let alone rights in a relationship, or if you're working for yourself on a job, or if you're in traffic, I mean, that's a whole nother dimension, would you say, when it comes to being an informed, whether we like the term or not, consumer, because, there's certain laws that have, well, all laws have a terminology and definition related to the parties.
Right.
And you have to know, if you're going to bring a cause of action, well, what party are you in this case or potential litigation, right?
Right. You have to know who you are. If you don't know who you are, then you lost. But
Come
if
on
you
now.
know who you are, then nobody can stop you.
There we go. Now, the part of the title of the show is Consumer Credit and Your Private Right of Action. What do you think about that private right of action?
I think that speaks volumes right there, because consumers don't even realize that there's a private side to this. Like, a lot of stuff is public record, but you have a private life. You were born in the private. So when they learn how to assert themselves in the private and learn that private administrative process, then they're able to free themselves.
Now, you touched on something very interesting, which I've went down the rabbit hole myself with this administrative process. I know some things are administrative as in paperwork, but then there's an administrative process as in 1099s, and I'm going to turn the coupon into a check, and I'm going to take it to the treasury, and I'm going to activate the trust from the Social Security, and I'm going to just give my opinion, real quick. A lot of that will have you
in jail,
locked up in jail, and waiting to have not only Secret Service, but the FBI, CIA, and everybody else at your door. And I'm not saying this as a fear monger. I'm just saying whatever I do in commerce or in this system, I want to be able to defend it and enforce my right.
Exactly.
And a lot of it doesn't have a private right of action if you're violated, right?
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
So, like, what you were saying about people getting themselves locked up. A lot of people try to do private transactions as a public citizen, and that's like an oxymoron. You can't do that. You can't. It's just like being a sovereign citizen. That's something that is not real. There's no way you can be sovereign and be a citizen. So it's no way you can be public and be private. So if you want to operate in the public and let them administer your accounts and do whatever, then that's fine. You can continue to live in the matrix. But if you want to live in a private, then I would say invest the time into actually learning things before you start to do things like 1099. So, like, when I referenced the administrative process, I was strictly speaking on notices of default, opportunity to cure, things like that. The 1099 thing, that's going to get people in trouble because they're just trying to access the funds instead of actually trying to become executor of their estate. So the account that was created, you're the beneficiary of it, but it is not your account. So, you have to establish a trust and then merge the accounts. You first have to establish yourself as being alive, because a lot of us on paper are not alive. And people don't realize that, but they abandon their kids when they sign those birth certificates.
Well, that's the legal fiction, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
No, I didn't hear the question. I'm sorry.
No, I was saying, that's the legal fiction or the entity that was created, upon the birth certificate, upon your birth or the birth certificate process.
Yeah. That's the party that was stitched by your parents. Those two parties on your birth certificate. It's all a fiction. It's all a scheme that, Big Brother created.
Exactly. Now, the system in itself is something that, in my humble opinion, it's a constant unfolding, never-ending story.
Yeah.
And touching on what you touched on a little bit, if people aren't careful, you will starve out here.
Yeah.
For real. You lose everything.
Yeah, you really would, because they're making it harder. Each year, more people are finding out about this, and they're actually having success. So, of course, what are they doing? They're going to change the system up. They're changing the paperwork up. They're changing the forms you need to file to be able to access things. So if you do one thing wrong, these people knocking at your doors, and a lot of people are trying to assert themselves without actually learning this stuff. Like, I studied for more than 2 years before I ever tried to do anything. But a lot of people are following these quote unquote gurus, and the next week they're trying to send a coupon in. Well, you don't even know the laws that you're trying to use with these coupons. So, they have to understand that stuff before they try to use it, because you will end up in trouble.
Most definitely. And I've met some people who've ended up in trouble, and I'm just so glad that I was able to hit stage left early and got deep into the consumer laws and went that route when it comes to just battling those creative wars and winning those battles and wars in regards to things on my credit, and being able to make a few dollars along the way, which is, again, ties back to your private right of action. See, it's one thing to have these companies violate you and to scream, well, I was done wrong and you didn't disclose this properly. And it's
Right.
another thing to be able to actually be a party or the plaintiff in an actual suit, whether it's state or federal, and get compensated on that violation. And imagine not even having to file an actual suit, but have crafted your paperwork in such a way that they know you understand and know your right as a consumer, and you're using the consumer laws specifically and appropriately. And imagine having an attorney email you, or you get a letter in the mail, or both, and they say, hey, my client's willing to settle this. This is what they're offering. Any thoughts on that?
I think that's amazing. That's that's the work we pay attorneys thousands of dollars to do.
Most definite. And again, a lot of them, from the research I've done, I mean, they will charge you anywhere between $100 to $500 an hour, unless you have an attorney that is willing to get paid on, as I like to say, on the back end, which is
Right.
when the case settles.
Yeah.
And they're out there.
I've spoke with a lot of attorneys, and some of them don't even want to take the case.
I'm glad you said that.
A lot of them don't want to take, because they're scared of the bar. If these attorneys keep coming up against the state with the same type of cases, then it's going to look like they're traitors, because we got to remember the attorney's first responsibility is to justice, not to us. Even if they are your attorneys, their responsibility is to the state, because they're going to get paid either way.
Either way, they're going to get paid. And see, my thing is, how can I cut out as much of the middleman and become the direct man and recognize, well, what is this thing called private right of action? I have a video I'm going to show you real quick. And after I play it, give me your comments or your thoughts on it. All right, here we go. I'm going to drop this video for us. And this is talking about that good old private right of action in regards to the consumer law. Here we go. Make sure I got this going on right. All right. Can you see my screen? You still seeing me, huh?
I can't. Yeah, it's still
Okay,
showing.
hold on. You still showing me? Okay. Let me share another screen, and we're gonna get it going. Okay. Share screen. Here we go. I was trying to get it to move smooth, boy, but it's all good.
It's all
Here
right.
we go. I got two short videos I'm gonna play on it, and then I'll ask you can give your comment and your opinion on it. So I got it about to share. Let me open this up all the way. All right, and we are about to hit play. Let me go ahead and okay, here we go.
A private right of action entitles a private party to bring a lawsuit to enforce a right. The word private in this context means a party other than the government. A private right of action is sometimes called a private cause of action or a private claim. In its most technical sense, this term is used to describe an implied right to sue under a statute or constitutional provision that doesn't expressly confer such a right. For example, the United States Supreme Court has held that the Fourth Amendment to the United States Constitution confers an implied private right of action against federal officials who conduct unlawful searches or seizures. Thus, an individual may sometimes sue for damages to vindicate his Fourth Amendment rights, even though the amendment's text doesn't expressly authorize such suits. Typically, however, implied private rights of action arise from statutes. If a statute creates a right but doesn't expressly authorize private suits to enforce it, courts sometimes will find that the statute implies a right to sue.
All right, I'm gonna play another video on private right of action. Let me load it up real quick.
In this video, we will discuss private rights of action. When someone violates a law, the state, the government can bring a case against him. A private right of action gives a private person the right to sue in a civil litigation. If a plaintiff in a civil litigation does not have a private right of action, then she can't sue. In the United States, a private right of action might come from a statute or the Constitution. We would say the statute or the Constitution gives the private citizen the power to sue. Generally speaking, there are two types of private rights of action: express and implied rights of action. Let's say the legislature passes a law, and the law provides that when banks lend money to individuals, the loan terms must inform the borrower that she can cancel the loan within 30 days. The law also provides that if those terms are missing from the loan, borrowers can sue the lenders. Because the law says that borrowers can sue lenders who violate the law, we can say that there is an express private right of action. The law expressly provides borrowers with a right to sue. Let's say the legislature passes the law, but nothing in the law says that borrowers can sue if lenders violate the law. There is no express private right of action. If the borrower wants to sue, the courts will have to decide whether the legislature intended a private right of action. If the courts decide that the legislature meant to provide borrowers with a private right of action, we would say the borrowers have an implied private right of action to sue the lenders. If you'd like to discuss private rights of action or any other matter related to U.S. law, stop by the message board and please visit my blog. Also, feel free to send me an email.
Any thoughts on that, Rebecca?
I think that was really deep. That private right of action, a lot of people don't even know about that. Just like we don't, well, I'm not going to say we because I read it now, but just like most don't read the fine print, most don't read the laws either. And, you know, we weren't privileged enough to be taught that in school. So a lot of things we're just ignorant of until we run across this information. So I think it's really good that you're sharing this with people.
Oh, no, you know what? I appreciate you, for what you do and also being a part of this process as well. And as you see, that, in my humble opinion, that's a key component to anything that an individual or a natural person is intending upon to do in regards to enforcing or asserting their rights. My thing is, you don't want to starve. And I'm doing my best to paraphrase this quickly because, as you know, these are very deep, complex subjects based on if it's a student loan,
Right.
if it's an automobile, if it's a credit
mortgage.
card. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was ad-libbing you. I said if it's the mortgage, because it
Exactly.
is case specific.
Yes. Anything else you want to say around private right of action and the importance of starting with your credit report first, enforcing those laws? Because, a lot of us want to jump to, the omega and the alpha part of it, but we don't even know how to even operate and eat and not starve within the entity in which you're operating under, and just showing that you are waking up and becoming more responsible and handling your affairs. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I think the easiest thing for the easiest place to start is your credit report. That's all the evidence. They're giving it to you. So you start there. You can start with something as easy as like inquiry removal. You remove the inquiries and then you can go back in. Each one of them is $1,000 violation for every time.
Are you still there? It seems that your signal dropped. I can't hear you if you're speaking. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and show another clip, and we'll come back to the what you're speaking on, the Fair Credit Reporting Act, or the FCRA, in regards to inquiries or inquiries. So let me go ahead and gear this other video up because again, we lost your sound. So let me get that going real quick. All right, I'm about to get this going for us. Let me get this next video started. Oh, we lost our guest, but we're going to keep going. Let me go ahead and... All right, you're back. We had lost you for a second. Rebecca, can you hear me? I can't hear you if you're speaking. Nope, I can't hear you. No, I can't hear you. You might want to come out and come back in. All right, let me get the video going while our special guest Rebecca comes back in. All right, can you hear me, Rebecca? I can't hear you. Oh man, I can't hear you. You might want to, I don't know what's going on with your volume. I can't hear you at all. All right, we'll wait for you to come back in. I'll go ahead and hit play.
The federal government enacted the Fair Credit Reporting Act in 1970. The purpose was to promote the accuracy and integrity of consumer reporting information. Today, a standardized format known as Metro 2 is used to facilitate reporting of accurate, complete, and timely consumer credit information electronically. Although the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Credit Billing Act, and Equal Credit Opportunity Act have been around for some time, lack of significant regulatory enforcement action made it easier for credit bureaus and data furnishers to allow incorrect credit reporting information. However, things started changing after the enactment of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and the Consumer Protection Act. The maturity of the industry has changed significantly from 2014 due to increased enforcement action. FCRA compliance can become a potential minefield if issues are not addressed carefully. Though the private rights of action to furnish obligation is limited, any willful or negligent violation may result not only in statutory damages and attorney's fees, but punitive damages as well. In addition, the federal regulatory agencies and state attorneys general can enforce the statute for any violation. FCRA-related penalties have gone up many folds after the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and the Consumer Protection Act. In March 2017, the CFPB issued supervisory highlights detailing the problems in the credit reporting industry. The regulator highlighted significant issues with lack of robust compliant management system, CMS, missing policies and procedures for several areas, including the handling and investigation of direct disputes, creation and retention of documents related to disputes, and third-party service provider oversight. In addition, examiners also noticed that knowingly inaccurate data was furnished, date of first delinquency was not reported correctly for bankruptcy and charge-off accounts, and incorrect account information was not updated promptly after identification of error. The Metro 2 format is prescriptive. However, it also allows certain flexibilities to the furnishers in terms of reporting time, reporting format, and the way certain business scenarios are reported. The expectation for the furnisher is to have detailed procedures, requirements, and an information system in place for calculating and reporting the Metro 2 fields accurately. As outlined here, most of the furnishing issues can be classified into one of four categories, namely 1. Data quality, 2. Metro 2 interpretation, 3. Programming error, and 4. Poor documentation. Connect with our professionals to learn more about Navigant's capabilities around FCRA.
All right. Our special guest was back, Rebecca. I think, all right, she's back. Rebecca, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
All right. Yes, y'all, we lost you. I'm going to play that video again. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
I know how these technical
it's
issues
storming
go.
here, so my connection is really bad. I keep
Oh, I understand. Now, you know, a quick side note is that you may want to get you an Ethernet cord and plug that into your modem, and then you can run that to your desktop or your laptop. And if your laptop doesn't have the Ethernet port, you can get a multi-port adapter, which will have USB, Ethernet, Type-C, Type-A connection, micro SD slot with an adapter. And that's something I use too to keep the signal strong. Is outside of Wi-Fi is that I have an Ethernet cord, and they got it on Amazon for, you get like maybe a 50 to 100 foot cord. I went with a 100 feet cord for might have been about $40 or so.
Okay.
But it's worth it, you know, just as a quick, you know, FYI.
Look, I'm writing it down. I told you I had my notebook.
There you go. Come on, I know you on it. But yeah, definitely that Ethernet, because I can see you when you start, you know, running your show and interviewing. You know, it gives you a good backup to your Wi-Fi, especially during if there's any signal or interference due to weather. So always and because StreamYard kind of also promotes, hey, get an Ethernet cord to help the broadcast off. And then, you know, I'm using my I got these Sony Bluetooth noise canceling headphones. So I spent about almost 400 on them. 400, you know, 400.
400.
YG 400. So I spent, you know, $400 on it. So you might be able to get it for a sale. Some people can spend more. I mean, they got Bose, they got Sony. It just depends on whatever your preference is. But I say, you know, get something nice, and it has a good, you know, wireless mic inside of it when you go Bluetooth with it. You know, because I can also hook up the audio jack cord to my headset, so I can go either wireless or with the audio jack.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to invest in a headset then. I have a headset.
Yes. Oh, you're breaking up on us again.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead. If you don't mind repeating yourself. You said you have
I said I'll have a headset for our next interview.
Most definite. No, most definite. And you know, because like you said, they got ones that can clip to your, you know, your collar, and they got something where it looks like you're doing, like, you know, ones news reporters and people use. I'm thinking about getting one of them at some time in the future, because right now I got the over the head, you know, ones that's like earmuffs I use, which are the Sonys, huh?
You look like you're in the studio.
Can you repeat it for me?
I say you look like you're in the studio.
Most definitely. Look, that's how I got to do it, you know. So you know, my thing is to get the best quality and get the best sound and maneuver these technicalities. Sometimes nothing you can do to, it's still gonna happen. I just try to make the adjustment quickly. But look, I'm gonna play that video for us again on the FCRA, and and then you can give some comment to it. Let me get that going for us, and I can also play the other one. There was a second one I played on a private rider action. Were you able to see that one?
Yeah, I was able to see that one.
Okay, well, I'll do the FCRA because you had left on that. You know, you had spoke a little bit on that FCRA as being one of the many consumer laws. So let me get the share screen going again, and we will get this video up and going. This is called Understanding the Fair Credit Reporting Act. This is just a brief synopsis. So let me, or intro. So let me get this up and going.
Federal government enacted the Fair Credit Reporting Act in 1970. The purpose was to promote the accuracy and integrity of consumer reporting information. Today, a standardized format known as Metro 2 is used to facilitate reporting of accurate, complete, and timely consumer credit information electronically. Although the Fair Credit Reporting Act, the Fair Credit Billing Act, and Equal Credit Opportunity Act have been around for some time, lack of significant regulatory enforcement action made it easier for credit bureaus and data furnishers to allow incorrect credit reporting information. However, things started changing after the enactment of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and the Consumer Protection Act. The maturity of the industry has changed significantly from 2014 due to increased enforcement action. FCRA compliance can become a potential minefield if issues are not addressed carefully. Though the private rights of action to furnish obligation is limited, any willful or negligent violation may result not only in statutory damages and attorney's fees, but punitive damages as well. In addition, the federal regulatory agencies and state attorneys general can enforce the statute for any violation. FCRA-related penalties have gone up many folds after the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and the Consumer Protection Act. In March 2017, the CFPB issued supervisory highlights detailing the problems in the credit reporting industry. The regulator highlighted significant issues with lack of robust compliant management system, CMS, missing policies and procedures for several areas, including the handling and investigation of direct disputes, creation and retention of documents related to disputes, and third-party service provider oversight. In addition, examiners also noticed that knowingly inaccurate data was furnished, date of first delinquency was not reported correctly for bankruptcy and charge-off accounts, and incorrect account information was not updated promptly after identification of error. The Metro 2 format is prescriptive. However, it also allows certain flexibilities to the furnishers in terms of reporting time, reporting format, and the way certain business scenarios are reported. The expectation for the furnisher is to have detailed procedures, requirements, and an information system in place for calculating and reporting the Metro 2 fields accurately. As outlined here, most of the furnishing issues can be classified into one of four categories, namely 1. Data quality, 2. Metro 2 interpretation, 3. Programming error, and 4. Poor documentation. Connect with our professionals to learn more about Navigant's capabilities around FCRA.
All right, Rebecca, any thoughts, any comments?
Yeah, I think FCRA is the most important act when it comes down to consumer law. Like that's where your bread and butter is with the willful non-compliance. Like they talked about, if these people do not comply with the Fair Credit Reporting Act, then they owe you remedy. You know? I think that's the biggest thing that people don't realize. Just like they're trying to call you out on what you're not paying, call them out on the way that they're violating you. So if they're reporting things that you do not want reported, you never consented to have reported, you dispute them. And when they delete them, that's evidence that they were reporting them. And now they know that they shouldn't have been reporting them. So then you go after them. I immediately invoice.
You said you immediately invoice?
Yeah. Immediately. Because asking nicely doesn't get you anywhere. Not with the credit reporting agency.
Well, right. And I've learned how we craft our, I'm gonna say, not only dispute letter, but also settlement letter, or as it's also termed, a pre-suit, your pre-suit letter or your notice of intent to sue.
Right.
Can be very, it can be very eye-opening to putting some cash in your pocket or some currency or some Federal Reserve notes in your pocket, or maybe they're testing you to see if you really bought that life and how far are you willing to go, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing. Because, of course, we expect pushback when you initially are trying to call the credit reporting agency out for the violation. They're going to push back, but you have to be persistent. And the more detail and the more versed you are in legalese, they know you aren't playing. They know you know what to do, where to go, where to file things, and they know you're going to win the case at the end of the day. So all they can do is prolong or try to get you to settle by settling out of the case and not pursuing it. A lot of people get scared. Like in The Wizard of Oz, the Cowardly Lion. That's who they expect you to be.
Well, you're right. And you know, those FCRA violations, I mean, you're talking about up to $1,000 per violation.
Yeah. And did you see the article a few months ago that they're trying to raise that $1,000 to about $4,100 per violation?
Is this in all states?
Yeah.
Or
this is all states. Yeah. It hasn't been approved yet, but that's something that they're voting on now. It's actually on the CFPB's website.
And that's another thing I would suggest to people, you know, definitely get those news and press releases. A lot of people don't know that you can actually sign up for those articles.
Yeah.
Those email articles. I've been a long time subscriber, and trust me, this game in reading those articles as well as the cases, because, you know, that new case law now becomes the president currently. I always mix that word up with president, but precedent. I know. Look, English is not even though it seems like my first language, is not.
Oh, well, I know. Besides the CFPB, NCLC as well, the National Center of Consumer Law.
What you know about that NCLC life?
Look, I just went to a convention in May.
Is that right?
I subscribe to their newsletters. I try to attend any conventions that I'm available to attend, because you get to bump elbows with the attorneys that you're going to be going up, well, not really going up against, but the attorneys that you want to learn from, because these people are the people that's taking these cases on. And even though, you know, I'm not an attorney, I don't give legal advice, I want to learn from the attorneys. I want to know everything that they know. So, yeah.
You know what? And I applaud that real quick, because I've been wanting to go to one of the National Consumer Law Center conferences. I know they usually pick a city and state every year based on FDCPA, FCRA, you know, et cetera, based on what specific consumer law. And, you know, I forgot how many consumer laws they are, but they also are enforced through federal regulatory action, as well as the private right of action as being a natural person or quote unquote citizen. Now, real quick, I'm glad you went to that, because as you stated, you have those lawyers and attorneys that will either be representing consumers or the defendant or the industry companies who are the violators.
Right. Yep. There is with the National Consumer Law Center, they try to keep out attorneys that are for the prosecution, for the corporations. They try to only accept attorneys that are for the consumer. So when I first started going, I had to send an email and say, hey, I do credit repair and I help people with learn consumer law. And I was like, I want to learn more from attorneys that actually do this on a day-to-day basis. And they actually let me pay for like a beginning law student. It's like the cheapest. The cheapest you're going to get one of those, the cheapest ticket you're going to get is probably about $300 or $350. But that is really cheap compared to the amount of knowledge you get. And you really get to talk to these attorneys and, get firsthand reports of their experiences in court. So, I use all of that, and I always have my pen and pad ready to take notes.
Man, come on now. And I'm so glad you said that, because look, based on, if one be technical with the law based on recording, now, some states are one-party states. Some states are, a two-party in regards to consent to record or no consent, right, or non-consent. But, again, it depends on how technical one wants to be. But, I'm always quick to grab my little recorder. Nowadays you got them on your celly. Your celly, you can hit that little app and be recording. You know, because I know how I am. When I'm engaged, I like to be all focused. Sometimes I can't write my notes as quick as I'm looking at it. But if I can get a copy of the presentation, as well as I got my handheld tape recorder, you know, I'm like, you know, CNN or one of these other news stations, I'm like, you know, low key, I got it like kind of out the side of the briefcase.
Yeah,
you
look,
know.
you exposing me. I didn't want to say that on camera, but I definitely pull my phone out and voice memo real quick. Because a lot of times you're not going to be able to write down verbatim what they're saying, and you want to remember everything because there's no telling what was the gem, you know?
Exactly. And trust me, you know, like you said earlier, you know, this is always from, as I like to say, from my own personal experience. I am definitely not an attorney or a bar licensed attorney or a lawyer. This is a consumer and a private consumer in his experiences. And as you shared, you know, nowadays we all got cell phones. Cell phones record video and audio. And unless they say, well, you know, we would rather you not record, or they make it specifically, you know, they make a specific rule not to, you know, again, it's fair game unless I get anything that doesn't specifically say I can't.
Yep. I agree with that. And I'm always recording. Look, I'm always buying more space on my phone because I'm always recording. So I definitely agree with that.
No, and I feel you. Look, that's why there's a recorder I got some years back that has a USB slot, and it's the brand is Sony. It has a USB slot, so you can actually you can pop out the USB, plug it in from the recorder, the handheld tape recorder, and it has a micro SD card you can put in, whether it's 16 gigabyte or 64 or 128 or you know, I think it's 1 terabyte or 2 terabytes if I got the language correct.
Yeah, you got it right.
And man, come on now, because I know I'm already maxed out with my phone. I'm going through deleting stuff now because I have too many screenshots and slides and trying to do TikTok videos, let alone
just that's that knowledge. Things. That's how you know you're working.
Now.
That's how you know you're working. Create that data.
Come on now, sis. And look, and you know what it's like. My thing is I gotta up every 2 years. I say I personally recommend every 2 years upgrade your phone and get something with more storage. I mean, I'm still using. I'm on the Android side. You know, I like working with that. I don't. You know, I know a lot of people love the iFizzy, but I'm on the Andrizzy.
Yeah, I'm team iFizzy.
Which one? I couldn't hear.
Though. Because I was a diehard Android user, so I understand both. On the private side, the Android is better because you have more privacy. So
exactly.
The iPhone is more high tech though.
Oh yeah. See, it's always gonna be a plus and minus with the game, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of where it's going with society. Think about it. Tesla has all these electric cars, everything electric. People want smart houses. That stuff gonna start trapping us if we don't, you know, take hold of it. I walked into a fast food place the other day and it was nothing but robots. Nobody actually in there taking orders or anything.
You went to a fast food restaurant and there was actual robots in there.
Yeah, a McDonald's.
A MacD, as we say, MacDizzle.
Yes.
Hey, mama, where we going to eat, mama? Mama, can I go see my daddy?
Slide in McDonald's when we were little. Now it's like you walk in there and it's a ghost town. I'm pretty sure somebody's back there fixing the food, but as far as like a cashier, there's none.
You know what? And I apologize for cutting you off. What you're saying is real. And see, this is where a lot of people, humbly speaking, are going to get left behind. Because the game, they're already, you know, several hundreds of thousands of years in the future with technology. It's just what they're slowly releasing to the public. And remember, we're on a planet in space. This game is way deeper than being just a consumer and a citizen. That's one level when it comes to just being able to get compensation or assert your rights. But this thing goes into a galactic, cosmic, deeper spiritual essence. Any thoughts on that?
Oh, yeah. And I'm tapping into the spiritual side now. I wasn't that deep into it. I'm not even gonna lie. For the past 2 years, I've been tapping into more of what's really going on. You know, ever since I took the red pill, can't go back to sleep.
Ooh-wee, the red pill. You said can't go back to sleep, right?
Yeah.
Sis, look, what you saying is real. I'm gonna jump on. I'm gonna show my cam real quick. Look at this book I'm holding up. I'm gonna grab a few more. Now, this is when I was taking a paralegal course at one of the universities. It's called A Pocket Guide to Legal Writing. Ooh wee.
Okay.
I've had this for. Yeah, they have it on Amazon and other, Barnes and Noble, other stores. You may be able to get a used version or even new. I always like going new with it. That's one of my books, and it definitely gives legal citation, and let me give you, it gives sentences and paragraph structure. When you're writing your complaint or when you're drafting your complaint.
Right.
Because see, I'm about that life.
Yeah, you coming with the sauce.
Ooh wee. So got the legal citation there. I'm gonna try to see if I can bring it in real close. Probably can show some of the examples, but it breaks down. If you're dealing with what is the federal rules of civil procedure. But see, this is the other part. There's also the federal rules of evidence. Ooh wee.
Ooh.
Yeah. See, you're not just dealing with case law. You're not just dealing with Black's law. Or was it Bouvier's or Bouvier?
Yeah, Supreme Court. That's their dictionary.
You're not just dealing with that. You're dealing with the federal rules of civil procedure for your particular, if you're going federal, district court. Okay. And then there's the local rules of civil procedure. Local rules is critical because, again, the local rules for Georgia or Florida or California or New York can be similar or different. So when you bring in a complaint, you got to be aware of the local rules, which most of these, from my understanding and research, most of the district courts you can go to a section for pro se or being a self-represented party, and it has PDFs there. They got a lot of free PDFs in regards to complaint structure, as well as even drafted motions that all you got to do is a few edits, and it's already done. You don't have to have a 100-page, brief. Right. You don't necessarily need a 100-page brief. You might be able to say this in 2 or 3 pages based on a particular, let's just say, document or the pleading you're filing within the first phase of litigation.
Okay.
So I always suggest go to your local federal court, your district, I should say your state district federal court for your particular jurisdiction. Now, the state courts have a certain amount of information as well when it comes to self-represented or they say pro se. They got something called a pro se clinic. Sometimes they have videos, audio trainings for free. I jump on them.
Pro se clinic. That's definitely something that people need to learn more of, how to assert themselves instead of paying an attorney. Because like we talked about earlier, those attorneys are not really working for us. They're working for the system.
Look. and that's the critical piece in which you're speaking on, because again, to find one, remember, that's competent. You want a competent lawyer or attorney based on if you're the plaintiff or the defendant,
right?
And you want to make sure that he's representing your interests in bringing that cause of action specifically as it should be brought, because you may get an attorney he's practicing. He might be practicing consumer law, but may not be specialized in the practice of it.
Yeah, and I mean, anybody can practice. Doesn't mean that's just, like you said, doesn't mean that's your expertise. That's not your specialty.
And see, that's another cold piece when it comes to interviewing an attorney, seeing if he's willing to take attorney fees and costs. If he wins the case, will he take it, your case pro bono? You want to know that, does this attorney want a retainer fee, any retainer costs in order for him to just, talk to you, let alone take the case? I mean, you want to know that because, again, they're supposed to take so many cases pro bono or take the case on to where they get paid on the back end. But again, these attorneys, and I've had one tell me, he says, man, I got a caseload of anywhere between 200, 300 to 500 cases for their particular law firm.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they have, we think, it's just, my little 10 cases or maybe 20. No, they have caseloads of clients from various subsections of the law. And that particular attorney may not specialize in consumer law. He may be a personal injury. He may be commercial law. He may be a criminal attorney. Some of them dibble and dabble in certain lanes. Some of them may take it on as practice. But remember, practice doesn't mean I'm guaranteed to win. Practice means I'm practicing. You can win, you can lose. It just depends on, again, the level of competency or how competent he's going to be in representing you and your interests in regards to, let's just say, your, if it's a FCRA, FDCPA, if it's a TILA, Truth in Lending Act, if it's, I don't know if you're familiar with this, something I definitely love is the TCPA, Telephone Consumer Protection Act. Ooh-wee.
Oh, yeah.
What you know about that TCPA?
That's the one they violate the most.
Man, I'm gonna say this. Now, what do you know about them violations of the TCPA? How much are they worth?
So I haven't gotten any I hadn't gotten any remedy from TCPA. But from what not
yet.
Not yet. I haven't. Right. Not yet. But I'm tapping in with you on that. How much is the violation for TCPA?
Well, the statutory violation starts off at a minimum of $500. And it could be trebled to $1,500 per call.
Oh, wow.
So imagine you get a call from a telemarketer. Now, that telemarketer is supposed to have your express written consent to call you.
Right.
That doesn't mean they won't try to call you on the DL or, low key. Don't mean they won't try to call you, because remember, they're selling goods and services and they're looking to make currency, or commonly referred to money.
Right.
They want to stay in business, so they don't mind saying, well, Rebecca, they don't mind dialing you up. Hey, Rebecca, how you doing? This is ABC telemarketer, and we're selling the greatest, software to help you with your business. Are you interested?
That's funny because they actually do that.
Exactly. Now,
they
the game is.
No,
I don't mean to cut you off. Go ahead. You said they call your. Go ahead.
No, I was saying they call my business phone a lot. When you register your businesses and you start to purchase different things and you start to build that business credit, different people get your information. Just like when you're a consumer, and these different credit card companies, all of a sudden you got a 700 credit score. Now Amex and Discover and Chase, everybody's sending you offers. It's the same way with your business.
Exactly. Now I'm gonna read this real quick because I love being more verbatim and being more specific. Now it says the penalties for not following the TCPA, the Telephone Consumer Protection Act, are on a per violation basis. That means each individual call is a violation. The standard penalty is up to $500 per violation. Now, this is the deep part. It can rise up to $1,500 per violation for knowing or willful violation. These fines can add up extremely quickly because the TCPA allows for uncapped statutory damages. That means you get 100 calls from a telemarketer, 2,000 calls from a telemarketer, add up your 500. And if you can show that it was willful, you up to $1,500 per call. Oh, I love the TCPA.
You blowing my socks off over here because I didn't know it was uncapped.
Oh, it's uncapped. And see, I used to love the FDCPA. I still love the FCRA, but I'm a TCPA fiend.
Look, you winning me over already.
Ooh-wee.
You winning me over already. TCPA is where it's at if it's uncapped like that, because you know how many calls you get from different, and you know how many different creditors that are calling you, quote unquote creditors that are calling you to get you to buy something, or calling about even debt collection.
Exactly.
They can't call and harass you. There's a time frame that they can call. They have to call you within business hours, but we know that these people will call you at 8, 9 o'clock at night.
And see, I'm glad you said that. There is a specific time range, and I'm gonna look it up real quick, in which they can and can't call. But this is the thing: you may have a debt collector calling you. You may have a telemarketer. Now, you have to know how the rule applies with the TCPA to a debt collector or to a telemarketer, because there are certain exemptions that apply to telemarketers, But again, I'm going to bring that up to be more clear and specific. And also, too, are they using what they call an auto dialer? Are they calling you with a robotic voice and they leaving robotic or auto dialed voicemails on your cell phone? This is where having the recordings on your phone. Now, let me share something that I do, which is I have through T-Mobile, they got something called visual voicemail. I have my visual voicemail sent as a text message for an extra like $5 a month on my bill for my subscription for my telephone plan. For my cell phone plan, I pay extra $5 to have through visual voicemail to have the audio sent to my email as well as translated. So I get a text translation of the voicemail. Sometimes it's 100% accurate. Sometimes it's a delay based on if it was a robot speaking or actual person.
If it's an accent or something. Yeah.
Exactly. They got a heavy accent based on how clearly they articulated. If they didn't articulate clear, I still have evidence that I got from T-Mobile a voicemail from such and such telemarketer or a robocall from a debt collector. And I have the audio, and it makes an immediate audio file that gets sent to my email, and I opted in for a text transcription. I get a text transcription of the actual voicemail sent to my phone as a text message. Plus, you got the translation of the voicemail and the actual voicemail file. All this is instantaneous.
Now, see, that's deep because I have T-Mobile as well, and I also have the visual voicemail where when they call and they leave a voicemail, you can read it instead of having to listen to it. But I hadn't went as far as to get them to email or text me a copy of it. See, you steady dropping gems because now I got to go do that.
There you go. I don't mean to cut you off. No, you do. And look, you can go through your settings on your phone, go through your app settings for your visual voicemail account, and you can just, whether it's click, enable, transcription to your email and all, as well as text transcription.
Okay.
You don't even have to call in and speak to anybody. You can do this all through the app. You can turn it on as in disable or enable. And when you get that transcription, you can get it either sent to your email, and I do the text. You see, all that is my evidence. See, I do screenshots of it in my email, as well as I do screenshots of it in my text thread. I hit you with 5 different, let's just say, visuals of evidence.
Yeah, it's no way around it. Like, there's no way you could talk yourself out of it. Oh, we didn't call, but I have the call logs, I have the actual voice recording, and I also have a text printout. Yeah,
exactly.
You know they say everything comes in threes.
Ooh-wee. And look, I like going quads to what is that? Uno, dos, tres, cuatro, cinco. I like going from quad to cinco with it.
Oh yeah, that's how you know for sure you're gonna get that remedy.
And see, I'm not playing with them because when I hit you with my exhibits attached to my notice of intent, I'm hitting you with at least on average 10, maybe 20 pages. And if the only thing is you got to know how to crop the screenshot, because I do screenshots as well.
Okay.
See, you want to screenshot the call coming in your call log. So that's one screenshot. Then I screenshot the call details. That's another screenshot. Then I screenshot the call history. That's another screenshot. Then I screenshot the voicemail.
Building up those exhibits.
Ooh-wee, exhibit A. Then I hit them with the voicemail screenshot. Then I got now the transcription or the transcribing of the actual voicemail you left that has your 800 or whatever telephone number you're using in the email, and it was sent to me specifically at this time, and it's sent to my consumer or personal email from T-Mobile. You called me, and here's the audio file attached. So then I also do Control P at the top of the email when you go inside your email, and I save the PDF of the email. and it's all professionally done, shows the attachment of an audio file there, and I make a separate copy of the audio file once I download it. So I have that in a separate file as well. So when I do the intent to sue, you're getting all the visuals, all the screenshots, and then, because see, first thing I do is I send all that to myself as an email, and then from the email I put it in a folder, either a separate USB, or if I have space on my laptop or desktop, I make a folder. You make a new folder, and then I put boom exhibits, screenshots, and then I take the transcription or the transcribing of the voicemail. Then I take the Gmail email printout. So I have all those, and then I take those and then I PDF them, and then now I attach them as one document or one continual PDF. So when I email you my intent to sue, see, I'm not just gonna always spend up all the currency, mailing it to you. I can also email it to you. But I'm gonna hold that thought until you come back. I see that your signal dropped again. I'm gonna go ahead and play another video until you come back on the line. All right, you're back. Here we go. All right, Rebecca, you dropped for a second. You're back now.
Yeah, I could definitely. I dropped off when you were saying about the screenshot. You take all those screenshots for surety, but you know what?
Go ahead.
I never thought to do that. That's very smart, because you know how they'll try to say that you created that the first screenshot with your call log, but you cannot say I created all these different exhibit. I have 1 through 5 here of every time you call me, the voicemail, the call details, your actual rep's voice on the voice recording. Yeah, you got them very handy.
And see, exactly. And the other thing I do too is when I go into when I see their number after I screenshotted it and it's in the call details or the call log, I actually click on their number, like the right corner, and it'll show all the calls I got from that particular number and all the days of the week and the time.
That's smart. I'm not gonna lie, I never thought to do that.
Because you can search a call in your call history. So you search that number because you can either write it down or do a screenshot. Because I can go back and forth in my gallery and just say, if it's area code 305, 308, 202, 704, 211, whatever, and then it'll show all calls under that initial initial area code. It'll show all the calls on that initial area code. And then if I be more specific with the number that dialed me in the call history, this is how I get a whole list in the call history of that particular number, and I make screenshots. Now, if I can only get 5 or 8 calls in that screenshot, I do that, and then I leave off wherever I left off and continue.
That's smart. Look, you dropping sauce. They better have their pens and papers out. I'm telling you, because I never thought to do that, and that's all the evidence you need. That might be a little more simple than the FCRA, using the FCRA laws, honestly. Because even the companies that are violating you and reporting things against your written consent, which is a violation of the FCRA laws, they still calling you. These companies are still calling, still leaving voicemails, still trying to collect on a debt. So in addition to the violations of it being parked on your credit report, you can get them for the TCPA violation.
Well, this is the thing now. When it comes to who you can file against, it's either going to be a telemarketer. Now, the debt collector part of the TCPA comes in if they're using an auto dialer, or if they're leaving what they call pre-recorded voice messages, either pre-recorded or auto dial. I'm going to share screen something real quick on that to show you. And this is where we got to get specific with the specifics, because a lot of people may have may have a case or have a good cause of action, but the problem is their evidence is not gathered specific, or if they gather the evidence, you're not specific with the party you're going to sue. Like, you got to make sure that entity fits the definition and the terminology of being either a telemarketer or a debt collector. But I'm gonna show you something, and I'm gonna take it right to the CFPB website when we look at the source on this, because I love to have great sources. So I'm going to show you something real quick, and let me share screen with you real quick, and let's check this out.
Okay.
and then we can pick up from here. So let me share screen, and I want to show you something because we got to. This is where the technical part comes in, and a lot of people will lose because of the technicality. So let me show you. Here we go. Okay, the screen. I don't know how the screen is zoomed in. Let me do it again real quick. The screen is zoomed in like mega zoom. Hold on real quick. All right, let me share it again. All right. So let me go to CFPB. Hold on for a second. Here we go. Let's see. You know what? Their site is under construction. That might be why it's showing up like not clear on my
extra
end.
large. Yeah,
it's like extra. Go ahead. Yeah,
I was trying to see if I could pull it up on my end, but I don't think it might be under construction.
Yeah, I saw it the other day. They were saying that they were it was under construction due to some changes. So, but I'm gonna find another. Here we go. I'm gonna go to matter of fact, Experian will give you some game on it. Let me show you this. You won't believe this. Let me show you this. The actual credit reporting agencies will show you, will talk to you about TCA compliance, FCRA. Now, whether they follow it or not is another story, but they will give you game and some insight.
Right.
Now, watch this. This screen should come up. Here we go. All right. I get all excited and fired up, when I speak on this, because this is real economic empowerment, and it's something through the NCLC. It talks about this is, when you want to seek economic justice. So, it's real when it comes to, those, your private right of action and those statutory, let alone punitive violations. So I'm going to read a little bit and then you can chime in. So let me go right here we go. So you see where it says TCPA regulations and guidelines?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You got to know that. Now, again, it's always good to get it from a regulatory source, but a lot of times these sources are okay, but a regulatory source, I like going to either the Attorney General site or the CFPB or any other
a mutual party.
Exactly.
Somebody who's not biased.
Exactly, especially if they're representing consumers or they're on the consumer law enforcement side. Right. I definitely like go to their websites. So look at what it says: TCPA regulations and guidelines. What is regulated under the TCPA? The Telephone Consumer Protection Act regulates telemarketing calls, auto dial calls, pre-recorded calls, text messages, and unsolicited faxes. How about that?
Oh boy, text messages? Because they done started texting you. They've even started reaching out on Facebook. I'm surprised that's not in there.
Well, the FDCPA, under Regulation F, and I'm gonna bring that up real quick. There's new guidelines around what debt collectors can and can't do, and they can reach out now to you by email and through your social media.
Yep. I've already had people to tell me that debt collectors were finding them in Facebook groups and stuff like that.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
But look, our private right of action is always there, and there's always going to be remedy and relief in the law. You just got to search for it, know where it's at, and know how to bring it together. It's like you got to have all the ingredients. What I'm learning, and you shared this, some people are so all over the place that their ingredients is all over the place. So guess what? They can't cook a proper draft of a lawsuit, let alone a proper draft of a pre-suit notice or a notice of intent to sue. They can't properly draft it because they're all over the place with their ingredients. They putting in the bankruptcy of 1933 with the FCRA with I'm a flesh and blood organic soul, and I'm gonna sign it in red ink, and I'm gonna, I'm right of rescission, and I want to send this to the credit reporting agency because I don't even want to have a credit file. And matter of fact, you owe me $100 million on top of that. What your thoughts?
Yeah, they're confusing. I think they're confusing the credit reporting agencies with all of the information, because the people that work for them, if we think about it, just being realistic, these are everyday people just like us, you know. So they got to pick a lane and stay in it. I'm not saying that you cannot act or search yourself in the private manner, but you have to know and pick your battles and know which avenue you want to take to get your remedy for this, and not try to use them all, because that's where you're gonna mess up it.
Exactly.
You can't mix it all together like gumbo.
No, you can't. You can't make. I'm glad you said that. You can't make gumbo out of all these laws and legal authorities and law journals and case law and rules of civil procedure but let me read this to you, and I'm glad you said that again. Now listen to this. This is what the experience says about the TCPA. I'm gonna read it real slow. I get so excited, so let me calm down. It says, because this is empowering, and it's been very empowering in my life. Quick side note, and I have got many settlements, humbly speaking, off of asserting my consumer rights and my pursuit of economic justice. Just wanted to give that quick shout out to myself, let alone to the consumer rights or the Consumer Law Center. Ooh-wee. But it says, now look at, I'm gonna read the rest of the paragraph. It says, it is also the authority to create the national do not call list. Now, what do you know about the DNC or the NDNC? Do you know anything about the national do not call?
Oh yeah. I was actually just talking to somebody about the national do not call list. Every time I get a new phone, I'm going through these different motions to get my name off of this public list, because they selling our information.
Oh,
every time you download an app and press accept, you don't, without reading what you're giving them the access to, these people are taking our information, stealing it, and selling it.
Exactly. And they're not even disclosing that. And again, based on what consumer law and the private right of action, this is where, again, you may have a notice of intent or a pre-suit notice or letter to send for statutory damages, let alone actual or punitive, related to how this information they used that they didn't disclose they were going to use became public information, and how someone committed identity theft on you or whatever else, and you were damaged in all these various ways. And
look, since you brought up identity theft, in the FCRA, I think it's 15 U.S.C. 1681C, it's the block of information resulting from identity theft. So people don't even realize you can have them block. You can report something as identity theft. If you didn't consent to it being reported, somebody stole the information and reported it. That's identity theft. If you report that, they have to block it. And the FCRA stipulates a time frame in which they have to comply. So when they don't comply to that, then that's willful noncompliance. In addition to the phone calls that's still going to happen, I say stack them high with the violations, because it's easier to win that way.
Well, it is, because, I will say this, and this is where I'm going to slow down and look, I'm going to cap my excitement real quick. This is where being informed and being technical and being detailed about the details is very critical, because a violation of the FDCPA can trigger an FCRA and maybe even a TCPA or even a TILA violation. But you have to know how does that particular violation trigger other consumer law violations?
Yeah, because they all work together. Now, we mentioned that you can't mix them all up because it's different. It's levels to it. But at the same time, all these laws work together to protect us. So once you find them with, it's just like the domino effect. You find one loose end, and it's going to bring the whole organization down.
Exactly. And I'm gonna swing real back to the TCPA real quick, and we're gonna come back to the FCRA. I'm just gonna read maybe 2 more paragraphs, and we'll jump to the identity theft with the FCRA.
Okay.
It says, it is also the authority to create the National Do Not Call List. The Federal Communication Commission, or the FCC, get to know them very well, is empowered to issue rules and regulation implementing the TCPA. What are the TCPA restrictions on collection calls under the FCC rules? The FCC has determined that debt collection calls, they're not telemarketing calls. Therefore, under the rule, the FCC has stated that with respect to auto-dialed or pre-recorded debt collection calls, to the extent that they do not contain telemarketing messages, would not require any consent when made to a residential wireless consumers, but require either prior written or oral consent if made to a consumer's wireless number, referring to 47 CFR is the Code of Federal Regulation. That subsection, the symbol right here, I'm gonna highlight. So that's CFR, if you can see the highlight. That's subsection 64.1200A1. Any thoughts?
Looks like they're breaking it all down for you to just make it more specific and let you know who can actually call you and who can't. Because I think initially when you tell somebody about the TCPA, they figure nobody can call them. But a debt collector can call you unless you revoke their right. Because you can do a cease and desist and then they can't call you at all.
Well, and you can definitely do that, especially if they're alleging that you owe some outstanding defaulted debt, or a debt that has been definitely in collections that has been written off. You definitely can do a cease and desist, and you can stipulate, look, I don't want to be called on this no more. Stop calling me, stop emailing me, and I only want notices by mail, or whichever way you want to stipulate you want to receive notices or communication, or I only want you to email me.
Yeah, I've actually done that before. Like, sometimes operating in commerce, you have to let them violate you because you already know what remedy you're going to seek. So, I've had a debt collector. It wasn't even technically a debt yet, but I've gotten myself into like a contract that I knew I was going to rescind just so I can exercise my rights. But sometimes you gotta let them violate you, and it doesn't necessarily have to be in collections. Because this was something I went right off the car lot and hey, cease and desist trying to collect on any type of debt because there's no debt over here.
Well, look, this is my thing. Is that debt accurate, and is it mine?
Exactly.
Where I need a copy. I need a certified copy of a contract, and I need to know who swore to. Who
were the parties in this contract?
Exactly.
It's a valid contract.
And where's the attachments or the other appendages to this contract? And if there was any disclosures, was I given full consent?
Full disclosures, yeah.
Of the disclosures in this alleged contract for alleged debt that you claim that I owe or is outstanding, that just because it has what looks to be my name or my address or my phone number and even my social, that doesn't mean it's my debt. Identity theft happens all day, every day.
Every day. More than once a day. Yeah, it really is deep with this. Like, you just gotta know, and it's a lot of remedy out there. You just gotta know what you're looking to accomplish.
Right. And you know what? As you know, there's a lot of remedy and relief. It requires us being specific and detailed. And I know how I get when I get into these particular circuits of my brain. I like to hover. And this is where, in the future, I'm going to be talking about this more on YouTube and doing TikTok videos and showing, actual documents and case law and showing the sites you go through and informing as many consumers of their rights and saying, look, if I can learn this, if I can learn, let me I got the wave cap, the do-rag on, the bandana. I got the headband. I mean, if I can learn this,
sure.
Come on now. And I'm around the way, brother, all day, every day, from the hood, born and raised. But I have evolved. And as I evolved, so does your vocabulary and so does how you present yourself. Now, I can easily polish this up and you wouldn't think it's the same person speaking to you.
Right.
But this is something we all should be able to do. And I'm saying that humbly to say that we got to be able to transform ourselves based on the particular venue that you're looking to go into and the particular interface you're having or the communication with the party that you are either wanting to enforce your right or communicating with in general. Any thoughts?
I think you're right about that. You got to know how to assert yourself. You got to be specific, and you got to know what you're going after. Because just like we've been led astray and in the dark for so long, these people are counting on you slipping up. They're counting on you being easily distracted by them not complying when you send that first invoice or send that first notice of default, or them playing stupid. You know, a lot of people they follow people like you and I, and then they'll see us drop a few gems and they'll say, oh, I'm gonna run with this. And then you write that first letter and you don't get the response back that you thought you were gonna get. You gotta know how to respond to that and not give up, because that's what they're banking on you giving up.
Sis, I'm glad you said that about how to respond or do follow-up. That is another critical component to enforcing your consumer rights or anything that you do, is that you have to do follow-up and you have to be willing to take it to the next level, in which you stated in your original communication in which you said you were going to do.
Oh yeah, you got to back that up, because they're going to call your bluff. You're calling their bluff by even trying to put them on notice, so they're going to call your bluff. You got to be ready.
You got to be ready. Because if you're not ready, remember, they stay ready, and they ready all day, every day. They have a general counsel or legal department
that's programmed to fight against you.
Exactly. So they already ready and waiting, because they look, this is my thing. I don't even have to let them violate. They violate on the strength of how they operate.
Right.
See what I'm saying? I ain't got to let them do anything. They going to do it anyway. All I do is... Go ahead, sis.
They train them to violate.
Man, they train the employees, supervisors, managers, the whole system, from higher management, from the board, or even the board of directors. They're training, however they implement and run their corporation, they're training these individuals to violate. And then this is why they like hiring a lot of quote unquote contractors and people from other countries, because they don't know the laws over here, and they willing to do anything and say anything when they make a telephone call to you, or when they send you a letter, or when they email you.
Oh yeah.
That's why the call center would be way in, Zimbabwe or Uganda or Asia or Saudi Arabia or China or Vietnam or Thailand or Uzbekistan, or it may be somewhere in England. It may be on the Virgin Islands. It may be Hawaii. It may be in outer space.
Yeah. Because they got to go that far to get somebody to try to hold their scheme up. Like, it only works if they have these different people at these different levels. Like, inside of these corporations, I don't think that they're telling these people, hey, we need you to defraud the public. You know, they're training them like, this is our policy. This is corporate policy. This is how you do things. So when it all falls back on these individuals who are signing these contracts unknowingly of the disclosures that they're not fully disclosing to people, they don't even know the laws that they're breaking. But these companies are using these different employees to be their scapegoats.
Ooh-wee. You see, right? I had to get active real quick. You know what I'm saying? I had to just comb it out. You know, I got to give me some sun. I'm getting kind of pale in here. All this research and study. I got to get some sun, man. I be locked in so much, man. But look, you got to charge that melanin all day, every day. Oh, so yeah. I just had to get real relaxed and comfortable with it. Ooh-wee. Talk to me.
Look, you at home, so get as comfortable as need be.
Look, all day. Let me throw the headset back on. But so I'm just making it very real that, again, we don't have to be ignorant and non-self-educated and when it comes to learning. And we can easily pick up, now you can just speak to Google or Watson or, Claire or Sierra or Cara or, you know, what I'm saying?
Whatever you want to name them.
Look, whatever you want to name him or her, right? And ask, well, what does this mean? Or what is that? And then my thing is maximize your time. So I don't care if you're taking a dump, if you're in a shower, man, get that Bluetooth speaker going and, hang your phone somewhere, unless it's waterproof where it won't get wet. Keep it, and hang that speaker somewhere close. And that's 20, 30 minutes between getting yourself ready in the dawning or getting ready to go to sleep. Or if you're taking a dump, number 1 or 2, whatever you got to do, that you can have something playing around your consumer rights or studying. Like you literally can have Adobe can literally read your PDF to you.
Oh yeah, I have a speaker in my bathroom. So if I'm in the tub, whatever, if I'm washing clothes, whatever I'm doing, I'm listening to something educational, whether it's a book or if it's a lecture somebody's giving, I'm always trying to consume some type of information because we have to feed ourselves. We missed a lot of years of learning the truth, from learning this propaganda that was kind of forced upon us.
Exactly, sis. And, giving you a quick time check, man, we've been 1 hour and 30 in already. It don't even seem like it to me.
Yeah, this went by really fast, but you know what? When you start dropping those gems like that, the time flies by.
And look, that's the hurry up version. There's a lot more where that came from, as you know. And this is why I got to do a part 2, 3, 4, 5, let alone, with you, some other follow up as time permit, some other follow up Q&A. And I don't want to leave here without showing your website and what you do, in this process, and the role you're playing in, this whole consumer rights thing. And just being a consumer, a consumer enforcing his or her right. And again, the NCLC, I don't know if anybody knows this, but those enough who are willing to stay at the end, there's a surprise I'm going to show, and I'm going to see if you got it already. But you may have it, but I'm going to show it in a second. Now, let me grab this book real quick. I'm all up in the camera. Man, I should have hit the look. I should supposed to do the audio avatar. But look, how about this book?
Don't have it. Legal Loopholes. Okay. Who is that by?
It's by this brother by the name of, his name is, matter of fact, he goes by the name of Charles Dickens. I swear to God, that's his name, Charles Dickens. I swear to God, I didn't make that up. My brother got a pen name. He flexing on you.
Okay.
Look at that. It says, look at that, legal loopholes. Credit repair tactics exposed. Let me read the rest of it. It says remove negative information. Boost your scores in as little as 72 hours.
Okay.
It says establish credit fast and easy. It says laws to stop creditors in their tracks. It says secrets the credit bureaus don't want you to know. It says remedy identity theft in 4 days. Recession-proof tactics for today's economy. Ooh-wee.
Sounds like they're highlighting a lot of those laws that are inside of the FCRA.
Exactly. Oh, they are. And look, go ahead.
Sounds like a good book. I'm gonna have to check that out.
Man, it talks about E-Oscar, Metro 2, all that stuff.
Now, see, Metro 2 is next level. People not really on Metro 2.
See what I'm saying?
I don't talk too much about it, but I use Metro 2 as well. People don't even realize that's a whole nother level of compliance. Now
look at you. But you on it, sis. And see, that's the game when it comes to, if we really gonna be, as I always humbly like to say, about this life. You gotta really be in it to win it, because it requires, several resources and references.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes you can understand it in maybe plain language in one way, or maybe you have to actually read the statute that was written by Congress. But that's another level of, I'm going to say, neuron connectivity or brain stimulation. Like, you can get lost in translation, but ultimately there is layman terms. There is annotations to the law. There is, you can get it annotated.
Oh yeah, because it's overwhelming sometimes.
It can be.
Yeah, reading it in the way that they used to talk, but reading it in that original language sometimes is the best, because when they revise stuff, they take stuff out. They omit a lot of the stuff that you need. There are a lot of books that translate though, so I get a lot of. There's an FCRA for Dummies book on Amazon. You can pick that up, or you can just get this. This one was actually free from the FTC. Federal Trade Commission gives a lot of those laws out for free. People could just order this in like a bulk order. They don't even know it. I give a lot to my clients for free.
For free. I'm glad you mentioned that. I forgot to mention you got the free PDFs and brochures and pamphlets that are on the FTC or the FCC's website, and you can order them in bulk, right?
Yeah.
And I've done it in my past. I've actually ordered, 20, 50 copies, 100, and it will come to your house free of postage, already printed, and all you got to do is distribute and hand it out.
Yeah, I actually give all my new students FCRA books, Truth in Lending books, just so they can go and do their own research. So when we talk about this in class, they can pull a book out and highlight, circle, whatever they need to do to remember and know how to utilize that code. So yeah, those books are vital.
Almost definitely. They critical. And my thing is get all the resources you can get, in this process. Because then look, I'm going to hit you with this one. I got this one real quick right in front of me. Now, I don't have the 2022 version, but I will be getting that mailed to me. This is, what do you know? This is fall 2019 catalog.
Yeah.
What you know about the series?
Okay.
Now, I got a couple of them books, and then in the future, I'm looking to get the whole subscription, either online and print. But I got a few of them with me.
We're going to have to connect offline and see. We might have to swap some out.
Most definitely. And go ahead.
I have a lot of them, too. We might have to swap some of them out.
No, all day. Because I'm going to tell you this. Now, now this is only for, like you say, individuals that about their life, that you can trust. You can buy through NCLC an additional code or access key to the online book.
Yep.
So somebody can have their own access key for additional. I don't know if it's $10 or $20. If the cost has. Go ahead.
You and your buddy
split the cost to be the boss. Come on now. I had to say that for last because
Yeah, that's the gem right there.
I'm gonna be on. Come on now. Now, if you want to, go ahead. I'm gonna be quiet for a minute. I'm gonna turn my camera off for a minute. Go ahead, be quiet. I'm gonna listen. I'm gonna be quiet.
So I wanna go back to you mentioned that book shows you how to get things blocked and removed within 4 days.
3 days.
3 days. Oh, okay. Well,
72 hours.
The FCRA has that blocking rule that anything that's reported identity theft, they have 4 days to block it from reporting to your credit report. So anytime they report it after those 4 days, that's $1,000 violation.
Correct. And that's the technical part of knowing the rule. Because again, this brother's book, he referenced, he did say remedy identity theft in 4 days. My bad, he did say it on there. But again, sometimes people's sources aren't exact. So this book, he did say how to remedy identity theft in 4 days. But again, it is critical and you got to know the specifics. It looks like our special guest dropped off for the second. We'll wait for her to come back in. And I guess what I'll do is there you go. All right, you're back.
Yeah.
No, but I'm glad you said that because it is 4 days, and this is where the specifics come in. Because you want to be as accurate and as detailed, because that could be the difference between a lot of people lose cases on technicalities.
Yeah, because they put the wrong code or they quoted it wrong.
Man,
they gotta know. You gotta know what you're trying to do. You can't pose as a lawyer and then come in there half-stepping because they're gonna eat you alive.
They're gonna eat you whole alive And the next 3 generations, they've already energetically ate them.
Yep. It's sad because they it's so easy for them to win versus you just proving something as simple as the truth. You would think the truth is really simple. It's not.
Man, it's come on now. And like you say, that's why they try to trap you with the legalese, and they try to lowball you too in settlement, negotiations. They try to hit you real low. Because remember, it'll say up to a certain amount. So they may start you off on the low end, but you have to know how to negotiate that and keep your foot on the gas and on the pedal and be like, no, I will be filing this. And see, I like district court. I don't want to play with you in small claims. I don't want to play with you in state court or superior. I want to deal with you in federal. Because see, it gets more expensive in federal.
And they back down a little quicker in federal too.
Of course they do. Yeah. Because you really going to be about that life if you really slanging them in federal. Now, don't get me wrong. If you want to flex in small claims and you want to have a lot of practice as a consumer, then you got those hearings you may have to go to. Nowadays they're virtual. Some of them are still in person, but if it's not an in-person hearing, it's virtual. But you got to be ready for that, because a lot of us, we get nervous, and it's understandable. I had to go through that as well when it comes to just walking into a courthouse, let alone a district courthouse, and then communicating with the clerk of the court. I had to definitely get comfortable with that and making sure, because the clerk, they have a job to do when it comes to just looking at the format. Now again, they can't give legal advice, neither can I. I'm just sharing information or entertainment. Or another thing I like to say is, this is fair use information. But even that clerk of the court, again, you got to make sure that they're not going too far in what they're sharing, because if you go in there with something that's not in the local rules or the federal rules format, and they're going to, that clerk may not file your complaint, your lawsuit, and now you thinking, oh man, they against me, and she really may be helping you so the judge don't dismiss your case, with prejudice. There are a lot of consumers that get their cases dismissed with prejudice. If you're lucky, you get without prejudice, and that means you can bring it back. And a judge may even, in his or her opinion, may say, well, guess what? I'm going to dismiss this without prejudice, and I'm going to also give you 30 days, 21 days, 30 days to file an amended pleading or amended complaint.
I think it's nice when they do that, because a lot of times people don't realize that you got to come with your ducks in order. You can't just say, oh, they violated the law, and on those terms, this is why I want this remedy. You got to be able to prove your case in court. Just like the burden of proof is on them when, it's a criminal case, the burden of proof is on you too when you're trying to prosecute them. So if you don't have your ducks in a row and they can wiggle their way out of it, they definitely will do it.
I'm glad you said that, sis. I'm glad you said that, because that is the crucial component. You got to have, again, as you stated, your ducks in a row. You have to be on your game, because remember, there's many case opinions I've read from various judges from various district courts or various circuit courts, or the Circuit Court of Appeals, federal, which is a federal appellate court, that they talked about pro ses, or people who are self-represented. There's a liberal standard in how they're going to review or judge your complaint or your pleading. There's a liberal standard, which means they're going to allow you a lot of mistakes or errors, or it to be not styled as it should be if you were a bar licensed attorney, a lawyer or attorney, but you can nonetheless, due to their liberal standard, file your complaint.
Yeah, and I think that's only right. That they know that everybody isn't trained, but everybody we have free access to this information. So if you learn something, you should be able to represent yourself in court without, because when you get an attorney, I don't know if you know this, but when you enlist an attorney, you're telling the court that you're either a minor or you're incompetent, or you're just ill-informed. So being able to do it yourself, I feel like they have to give you that wiggle room to mess up, or, you know, because we don't do this every day.
No, we don't. No, we don't do it every day. And, you know, my thing is, you know, again, if you're going to work it through consumer law, then remember there's rules and procedures around that venue. And you got to make sure that that venue is the correct venue, as well as the jurisdiction is proper for you being, as they say, pro se. See, my thing is, all those titles, pro se, self-represented, you know, those things don't bother me. You know, of course, you know, there's an expression, ignorance of the law is no excuse, or they are dealing with you as a minor or someone who is, you know, legally incompetent or lawfully incompetent. You know, that is true. But my thing is, I have to make sure that how I engage with this lawyer or this attorney, that I'm aware of what I want to say or what I want done and what needs to be done. And my thing is, based on the remedy or the relief I'm looking for, you have to be willing to go the distance. Because if I start arguing, I'm a sovereign even though I'm a pro se, and I'm a sovereign even though I'm a consumer, and see, you start arguing these things, now you arguing yourself out of the four corners of the complaint.
Yeah.
You're no longer dealing with the issue, which is the cause of action, and you saying this is a FDCPA or FCRA violation. You're arguing something totally separate.
Totally
Not
different.
only that, totally different, and it doesn't belong in that
in a court,
lawsuit.
really. Yeah, because if you sovereign, you're still jurors. You don't put yourself under their jurisdiction at all. We're not even going to discuss these.
See what I'm saying? This is where people talk about special appearance and all these things like that.
Right.
But you got to know how to craft that. You got to know how to get the, you know, the order or the ruling you want. Because even then, you may not get it. You may have to appeal it.
Yeah.
You got to know how
those judges take those cases in private in those chambers. You know, and most of the time they get thrown out if you know how to assert yourself. But if you go in there and you saying the wrong thing, you might end up on a contempt.
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that. They will shut the court down.
Yeah.
Ask everyone to leave, close the doors. And you talking about a real private conversation and order and ruling at this point.
Right. Because it's nothing to adjudicate, you know, once they know who you are. But if you go in there acting as their corporate fiction, then I mean, you just got to know what you're doing, which jurisdiction you're in, how do you want to assert yourself, and stick to one and not jump all over the board.
Exactly. So if you're dealing with consumer law, then you got to be calling yourself a consumer.
Yeah, you got to be the consumer. You got to be the person that, and they do us the favor and define all of these terms in their laws. They define consumer, natural, you know, they really define everything. So you just need to know who you want to be. And we have the right to, you know, self-declare whenever we want. But if you want to be the consumer here, be the consumer. If you want to be the straw man here, be that. You want to be the natural person and assert yourself and be God, be that. But you got to know how to be that across the board. Because they will trip you up.
They will. And that's the thing when it comes to really doing your due diligence. And, you know, sometimes all you have to do, from my personal experience, is be either right close to the bullseye or you hit that bullseye. And sometimes just how you articulated yourself, as well as how you articulated your words on paper, can be the determining factor of you getting remedy and maybe your friend or someone after you or before you didn't. And they could have used things very similar in their documents, similar wordplay, similar terminology. They could have used a similar script, you know, creatively speaking, and they didn't get the remedy and relief that you got.
Yeah, you're exactly right. It has a lot to do with your confidence as well. Because I've gotten things removed from the CRAs over the phone. Like accounts, not even just inquiries. I know a lot of people are into the, you know, you can call and get your inquiries removed, which that's very true, but you can call and assert yourself just like you can do on paper. You know, you can call them and say, hey, I sent in, the law says I had to produce X, Y, and Z. I've already sent that in to you guys. Why aren't y'all complying?
Exactly. And I'm glad you said that, because you gotta know how to flex, because they're gonna test and see, are you really about that life?
Oh yeah.
You claim, look, they're gonna clap back.
Because they about their life.
Man, look, they live it 365, 7 days a week, all day, every day. Professional. A lot of them are professional crooks, swindlers, bootleggers.
All of them. We're not going to be nice. They all professional crooks. You know it. It's been like this for years, though.
Exactly. And see, this is my thing is, if this is just the physical part of it, when it comes to the material, imagine the spiritual.
Oh, yeah.
And how deep that game go.
That's deep. That's heavy right there. That's heavy to even think on. Like, if they're capturing our bodies like this, just think about how much bondage we're in spiritually. Just across the nation. If we could wake up spiritually, it would really be that this could really change everything.
Yes. And I'm gonna say this, humbly speaking, sis, as I'm still a work in progress, spiritually is what gave me the inner and evolving understanding to want to jump into this consumer realm, as well as want to assert my rights and to represent pro se, self-represented, or my own natural person. That's what did it for me. Wanting to understand the ancient concepts of the cosmos, the universe, the ancient systems of the ancient Kemetic, or the ancient, it could be the Dogon, or the ancient, it could be Peruvian, it could be the Inca, it could be the Toltec, Mixtec, it could be Aztec, it could be Olmec, it's commonly defined. You know, again, whoever ancient civilization it was, if they were higher than our civilization,
right? I
was like, I gotta do some study briefly, or reference, or just stare at these symbols. Now, this is some deep stuff. When you can stare at the symbols or those stone glyphs, there's a frequency and a vibration still radiating from those glyphs, from those temples, from those statues.
Those people were outrageously smart. It's crazy to think that they were so many hundreds of years smarter than us, and it happened so long ago. You know, humanity has never gotten back to that level of intelligence, and I hope we do one day. But it's scary to think how smart they were. Think about that. These people had pyramids healing people with vibrations and sounds.
They were, in my humble opinion, and I apologize for cutting you off, they were galactic, cosmic people. They operated on some of the stuff we hear in sci-fi movies, some of the stuff in Star Wars, or some of the stuff we see on other movies that's related to, you know, parts that show descriptions of things related to sci-fi, or what they call science fiction. All this stuff we think that these people are dreaming up, or these special powers. No, you got an actual individual, natural.
They have evidence.
Live souls. Evidence. It's in stone. It's in some codex, or it's written on a tablet, or it's on a wall inscribed, or it's on a temple wall.
You know what's crazy?
This isn't make believe. Go ahead.
We don't even get to see those types of things. Like, you know, all the evidence they have of all this extraterrestrial beings and all of that stuff, aliens, stuff like that. These people will never share that with us. But you got to know that those TV shows are coming from somewhere. Nobody's just dreaming that up. Nobody's just guessing. None of this stuff. This is stuff that's actually happening. And they are just not releasing it to the public. So we're programmed to believe this is fiction. We're programmed to believe this is, you know, conspiracy theory. This is stuff that's actually happening.
It's actually happening, been happening, is currently happening. And it's the deep part. It's all information being streamed to us in the form of sunlight and that ancient DNA that they call junk DNA, those archives, whether it's the Akashic records, or some say Akashic records, that energy, that information, that cosmic library is all around us and inside of us.
I agree.
So can you imagine that sunlight carries ancient knowledge, well, ancient information, knowledge, and wisdom? All three is being downloaded to us in a form of sunlight, and those of us who can upload to that sunlight or become sensitive to the spectrum or the wavelength or the frequencies of light can actually alter, rearrange, upgrade their DNA and their mental and ultimately physical consciousness, or physical avatar body and consciousness can be upgraded, and you can become maybe that giant. Maybe you disappear walking through walls. Maybe you turn and you're blue, black, purple, and you're 100 feet tall. We dream about all this stuff when we go to sleep.
Yeah, it's happening somewhere. How do we know that we didn't experience that in the past life? Because energies cannot be destroyed. So when we die, what happens to that energy? Is it not being recreated in another human being? Like, how do we know that a lot of this stuff that's resonating with your soul right now, you may have been battling with that in a different, lifetime. Who knows what we were doing previous to this? That soul remembers, though. Your soul always remembers.
Like they say, it's written upon your soul, or it's written within the DNA or the essence or the light particles or the wavelength, is just commonly referred to through Western science to describe it. But that energy, that plasma, those gases carry intelligence, ancient information and knowledge and wisdom. It has an ancient system. What I'm coming to learn and evolving with is that technology is also inside of your cellular construct. You got technology in your organ systems. The way you breathe is organic technology. This whole physical... Go ahead.
I could believe that because, your body heals itself.
Come on now.
I mean, think about how intelligent your body has to be, your physical body has to be to not ever need medicine, but to produce the antibodies that you would need to fight off something like a cold or a flu or, whatever. It's the stuff that we are putting, the foreign things that we're putting in our bodies that's preventing our immune system from being as strong as it can be. All of these vaccines and medications that's supposed to help us. And like I said, I'm a pharmacy technician. I've been working with medications for the last 14 years. And I can tell you that a lot of them, I have a bachelor's in science. I can tell you that a lot of them are not really good for you. They might cure your, well, it's not going to cure cancer, but it might cure something, but it's going to cause something else. And, it'll never tie back to that little blue pill you were taking, or that little white pill you were taking, or, that cream you were putting behind your ear.
All day. And I'm glad you're speaking on this, because the human body is something when you give it natural organic things, or even when you drug it. Yep. It will do certain reactions when you drug it and cause certain things to look like it's healed or cleared up or changed. But the deep part is when you lower your frequency and vibration due to your activity or the things you're around and what you expose yourself to, and you're not cleansing your aura or your auric field, next thing you know, you're back sick again, or you're back disabled, or you have this injury. Because remember, they got the body is autopilot to only heal to a certain level. What I'm learning is you have to break the code to go beyond the programming of the minimal program to heal. But that means
mind,
becoming
body,
more.
soul.
Come on now.
That's
mind,
that
body,
three
soul.
again. Mind, body, and soul. That's the only way you're going to heal.
And look, some say, based on what translation or tradition, mind, body, spirit, soul. Some people put it as an even four because there's always balance with duality. Everything has a pair.
That's a
so
fact.
Sometimes based on the knowledge of how it got translated or watered down, they don't show the equivalent or the balanced opposite.
I can believe that. And look, I'm a Gemini, so you know I resonate with that. Everything has a pair.
Come on, no, what you know about that G life?
Look, June 18th. Definitely Gemini. Our season on the way too.
You know what? If I wouldn't have said that, you'd have said you lying. But mine is June 18th for real, all day, every day.
Really?
I should have said it before you said it. That would have been showing some synchronicity and some cosmology. I swear, on everything I love is the 18th.
Oh wow.
It's the 18th
You
as
just
well.
blew my socks off. Look, and that's crazy because I feel like a heat resonation right now. I don't know what it is. I don't know, but there's something going on right now. It's
All
a
day.
download, I believe.
Yes, and this is why I wear my crystals and my lava stone, and I got various other gemstones and crystals I wear. You got to realize there's ancient intelligence and wisdom and healing power in the stones, in the crystals.
Oh yeah.
Remember, all food comes from the minerals that's in the ground. Without these minerals in the ground and crystals, we don't have soil. We don't have plants, animals. You don't have what life consists of. And then you get water that helps to mix all these various, natural substances together, all these organic molecules and atoms from the vital minerals and the vitamins. And next thing you know, life is created and transferred and translated. But what I'm learning is that when you make time outside of the hustle and bustle and the grind, even with us working for ourselves creatively, you still got to take time out, because remember, the frequency is to keep you from having free time to just be and to be able to upload and download and rest and recover. You got to go into those deeper levels and layers of sleep.
Oh yeah. And what I've learned that when I start getting my proper sleep, I will wake up early in the morning, like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and I would just have a different task on my mind, something that I want to go do right now. And that's how I get a lot of stuff accomplished. Like, they say the early bird gets the first worm.
Exactly.
I'm getting the first download every morning.
There you go. And it gets even deeper the more sensitive you become in accessing those downloads to, I like to say, those uploads to downloads. When you get more sensitive to upload to download, you are going to recall all your dream, not just a part of it. You will be able to do a translation of the symbols, the symbology going on, the communication, the individuals. Because remember, our consciousness, one part of it is translating as best it can the imagery and the information. But if you don't know how to access your own upload, download, as in dream, premonition, or just psychic gnosis or download or upload to download, you can mistranslate it. You can miss out on the window of opportunity and have to go through something else to get the reinforcement of what they said. Well, we told you what it was, but you didn't ask for a clearer translation. You asked for a clear translation and you still was confused. You see what I'm saying?
It's so easy to forget those dreams. I'm remembering a time when I've done it very recently. I might remember a little portion of the dream, and it's because I didn't really try to get the full download when I woke up. I just, my mind went to something else. I started my day. I didn't even try to meditate or clear my head or whatever, so I can be shown what it was that I was trying to be shown in that dream.
Yes, and I'm glad you said that. And in doing the time check, what I'll do is we can cap this in the next 10 minutes or so. That way you can get a little time in between your next consult. But just following up real quick on the last statement you made, it's very important to become one with yourself on that level, because we are very sensitive to everything we are around and exposed to. All of it gets binded or bonds with our DNA, with our plasma, with how we breathe, with how we just live. And what I'm learning is that when you can, let's say, as I like to do, put crystals under my pillow, put crystals inside my wave cap, my bandana, while I tie it up when I go to sleep, put crystals and gemstones around my feet, around my waist. I try to create a crystal gemstone grid. And when you go into that level of sleep, you can't even think about anything, because the program literally goes to another channel. Your whole visual screen goes to another channel and it's just silence. You might even get flickers of images, colors, or you might just fall out based on how much you've been exerting your energy throughout the day. But what I'm learning is you got to recharge your battery like a real battery, but an organic battery spiritually with the gemstones and crystals. Remember, that is food. You're energetically feeding, not just physically. But when you really get in tune, go ahead, jump in.
No, I totally agree with that. You gotta reach. I do the crystals under my pillow, and I wear them daily. You know, you gotta recharge. You can't put all this energy out there and think, you know, you're just gonna wake up and it's gonna be there. No, you gotta put the work in to get it back.
Come on now. Look, you gotta be able to wake up these brain cells that are dormant and frozen and that are stuck with all kind of gunk and toxin and blockage. Remember, they trained us only to think and operate, as they say, most humans only using 5, if they're lucky, up to 10%.
Right.
They're telling you that you're not even using 50% of your brain potential or conscious capacity.
You know what's crazy? And then they invent apps like TikTok where you're going to use an even smaller portion of your brain with a 7-second video.
Come on,
like
now.
they're programming you to pay attention less and less to what they're doing. It's got to be for a reason.
It all is, because think about it. Now, my thing is they're on this massive data collection spree because, again, look at what they're doing to the planet and the Earth. See, they're already trying to go to Mars and other planets to live, but they're trying to collect as much, how can I say, data along the way.
Of course.
See, think about it. They know what they're doing, but then all the politics and the trauma gets us trapped so where we can't organically shape-shift into a spaceship or activate the Merkaba or Merkaba within you. That's a whole nother level of spiritual transmutation, let alone evolution. They're trying to physically go to these places that you can go to spiritually and naturally and organically in a higher spiritual frequency, and then you can tap into the frequencies of those other beings, and they can help to show you how to activate yourself and get aboard the ship and get actually picked up by the UFO or the USO, you know, the underwater submerged submissive object. I think they call it USO or UFO. Remember, they operate beyond the bounds of physics, and they operate, they go dimensions. They know how to go through the water, through the door, through the roof, through the planet. They've mastered the higher spiritual sciences of mathematics and how to time travel. But guess what? A lot of them are waiting on us and look like us. And a lot of them don't.
Yeah. I really believe a lot of them are our ancestors. I really believe
they are. They are our ancient ancestors, in my humble opinion.
I believe it. We had to come from somewhere. I think that we just got left here, or either maybe this was the new planet for them. Maybe they were on another planet at first, and Earth just seemed like the newer one, you know. And we just end up the ones left here. It's something. I'm gonna tell you,
man, it's deep. Now I know the brother, what's his name? There's several stories out there from a couple different elders. I know Billy Carson has a very interesting breakdown based on the tablets and the things he's read, as well as what he feels. And he talks about us we're cosmic refugees. He says we're refugees from other star systems due to other wars and battles that have taken place. And this is why, so I'm keeping an open mind to everything. Of course, I want to read the tablets, whether it's through the Sumerian text or whatever tabletic text or ancient Kemetic, Egyptian, Nubian, Nuwabi, wherever it go. I want to check out the text and see it for myself, because you know there's a way that you can get the tablets he shows translated. Some of the colleges and stuff that archive all this stuff outside of the the different the Vatican and other museums that do these archive. They have translation to what they say the text mean, but if you get in a high enough frequency, maybe you go visit the museum, or it's a special, display they're doing within your city or town, and you just go see the what they call it, the not the display, but there's another term they use when you want to look at something and it's on display. But you'll be able to go and see the actual artifact, or the codices, or the codex, or actual, Tutankhamun or Tutankhamons, or King Tut commonly referred, his sarcophagus, and there's still energy emanating and radiating off of these objects or artifacts. So imagine if you're in the right frequency.
Some of those things they should probably leave alone. Like I was watching on the news the other day, they found a mummy's head with a golden tongue.
Right.
And I'm like, some stuff you just shouldn't be touching. Like, I know this stuff probably has all this energy illuminating off of it, but it's like, okay, are you going to get cursed for going and disrupting this person's resting place? Because this is their final resting place, you know?
And that's the thing about those who use this as archaeology or some sort of expedition. You know, they're just trifling and trampling and just degrading people's resting spaces and ancient civilizations. But you got to look at the nature of an individual who doesn't care because they're on a power crusade. See, they're trying to take the knowledge and the ancient wisdom, hide it and turn it into weapons.
Yeah.
But what I'm learning is, and Billy Carson helped to really kind of add some context for me on this. He says, you got to realize there's always been a battle between good and evil or light and dark. That is eons old. That is beyond millennia.
Yeah.
The forces have always been battling. This is why he said there were actually individuals and entities that actually had weapons that would blow up planets. He talked about something in the ancient Hindu or the Vedic text, you know, I think it's called the Bhagavad Gita. And it talks about these ancient ships and weapons that were used to blow ships out the sky. And you got people who he talks about, and this is interesting. Again, I'm keeping an open mind. You actually got not just royal families that are humans that we see within, you know, from ancient civilizations. You got royal families that are galactic and cosmic royal families. He says you got people that actually own planets. You got people that actually own solar systems. Now I had to say that it's real deep. I had to stay open to it because, you know, sometimes we just want to romanticize certain parts of the ancient knowledge. Our ancestors were good and bad. They fell off. You know, they didn't just stay on top all day, every day.
Right.
They had moments of peace and golden ages, and they also fell off and lost their way.
Right.
And they also had war. So can you imagine ancient cosmic galactic families owning planets and solar systems?
I cannot. That's like, that's on another level when it comes down to just thinking about slavery and owning people. And because, you know, if they owned a planet, they had servants, they had peasants, they had, you know, there was a level of hierarchy. So that kind of, I don't know, that's a little scary.
Well, as I like to reference it, there was a working class. You know, there was probably a class that was
middle class,
more spiritual. You know, right? They're based on the tools of the trades. Remember, everybody was part of the society or played a role in that organic system. Maybe you had a system that was just a spiritual system, because he talks about how you had certain civilizations that they were so high spiritually that they merged with technology. You had some that had more spiritual than technology. And then you had some that lost their way and they wanted the power of technology voided the spiritual knowledge, the spiritual information, knowledge, and wisdom. They became more dark in their heart, as in void of light, and they became very evil and unbalanced, and they wanted to control others. So my thing is, I just got to stay open, because I'm learning that, you know, this thing is taking me all over the place. And the more I stay open, the more I can accept what I don't know, because a lot of times the possibilities. But see, I got to balance it and roll within those light bearers, or with those that are guardians of the light, and those that are within the frequency that I want to be on, because my thing is I'm in it to win it, not just consumer law, but also spiritual law.
Oh yeah, because it's spiritual warfare. That's what this whole battle is. You know, we just fighting it in the flesh, but this is definitely a spiritual battle.
And on that note, as much as I would love to keep you, we'll do part 2 as time equals art permit, and you have the time. This is your brother Surrealism, a prism of realism. Special guest Rebecca.
Thank you so much for having me.
All day. And look, we forgot to show your website. It just popped into my mind. It was like, show the website real quick. I know you got to go. Okay, I'm going to show it. Okay, let's show your website. Let me get a quick share screen. I know I'm jumping around because this subject can, this can go for hours and hours and months, but I'm gonna chop it up and come back to it. And let's get your website up here. And
I'm gonna have to bring you to my platform because you dropped a lot of gems tonight that needs to be talked about, in a more open format. So I really want to get you on the page, get you more so in the group to where you can talk to people, because I'm pretty sure they'll have a lot of questions once they see this video as well.
And you definitely getting your audio and video copy, and I appreciate it. And like I say, just let me know when, where, date, time. I'm on it, and I definitely will, however I can share, comment, like, subscribe, follow. You know how it go. Oh yeah. So look, here you go. This is your site. It is Credit Clinic, creditclinicllc.com. What I'm gonna do real quick is go to the banner right here where we have I've been having your website at the bottom shown, but let's get some of your IG and your Facebook. So I'm gonna ask your IG can show for a few seconds, but so your website is Credit Clinic LLC, and one thing I do like about it is that I'm gonna scroll right here, is that when you want to go for consultation, look at what happens. Let me show. Here we go. It's not showing. Oh man, where's it at? I just was on it. Hold on. I just was showing your consultation page. Can you see it?
It's sharing the screen, but it's still on the main screen right now.
Okay, I know what I'm gonna do real quick. I know you gotta go. I may even just continue this part as if you have to jump off, and in that way, your site can be mentioned. Here we go. Right. That's what I like, that you have it to where it's easy for someone to book a consultation. Go ahead, jump in. This is your world.
Oh yeah, it's easy for you to book a consultation. All they would have to do is go to the website, click on the calendar, and pick the best time slot for them. And I do consultations for credit repair, also for consumer law. So if you just need coaching, if you just want to learn some new stuff to implement on your own, we definitely help with that as well. Like I said, we don't give legal advice and we are not attorneys, but we will help you represent yourself.
Hey, look, as consumers can come together and share. And it's something I'm going to share next time called under the FDCPA, when you enforce your private right of action, you're considered a private attorney general. How about that?
Yeah. You are attorney in fact. You were
attorney
born.
In fact. Exactly.
Attorney in fact.
So okay, I'm let me throw your Facebook on here for a second, and I'm not gonna keep you much longer. Let me try to see if I can dance around your site. If you have to go, it's all good.
I'm gonna hop off because I have that 7:30
there you go.
Consultation. But
yes,
if you want to continue to go through the website, that's fine. But I would also love to do this again with you. We got to get together again. So just shoot me a message and let me know when you're available, so I can put you on my calendar. Because we got to continue this conversation. I'm gonna have some questions for you next time. I got to get these books and read them.
Hey, look, no, same here, and I appreciate that. And we all, each one teach one. And like I say, I'm just, I'm in it to win it, and I'm evolving and learning as well. So I definitely look forward to following up with you. And let's get it. Let's spark these brain cells and create new thought, enhanced thought, healing, and evolution. And let's be able to live the life we want as much as we can, and also evolve into the multidimensional aspect of who we are.
Oh yeah, I 100% agree. Will you be dropping your contact information on how my followers can contact you if they want some of that legal advice, but non-legal advice?
Well, you know what I call it, information, entertainment purposes.
Okay, yeah, because it's entertainment.
Come on now, because the only thing I do is talk about I talk about legal or law information. Again, I'm not bar licensed, not an attorney, not a lawyer. But as consumers, we do have a right, and it is for educational, informational purposes, entertainment purposes as well. And what I do have that I can drop, what I'll do is I'm gonna drop a quick Well, this has my YouTube and TikTok.
Okay.
I'm still evolving with that. But what I'll do is I'm using them right now. I'm setting up another email specific for those who are serious for certain contact. But my YouTube, you got the TikTok, Facebook. I'm not really using I use it, but not as much. What I'll do is I'll put some other info around an email.
Okay.
And another contact, and that way I can because I'm getting better with how I'm gonna control, my contact platforms or the way I do contact on these platforms. So I'm putting things out kind of strategically, but I'll have some information in the once I post this to YouTube, I'll have in the text I'll have my links there. Okay. And then I'll put your links there. And then I have I should have an email, or I may even have even an 800 number. Ooh-wee. Might just give me that 800 number.
Oh,
you know what I'm saying? Oh my! I got to work that privacy now. Look,
Oh yeah.
I got to keep some privacy.
The disclosure when you sent the email, I was like, look at them, all professional.
Oh, and that was a quick email. It was just a quick. And look, I have that auto-populated on every email when it comes to the electronic communication. It's like a signature. So look, you can go ahead and copy and paste it.
Right. Look,
there you go.
I definitely will.
All day. But sis, I know you gotta go. I'm not gonna keep you. I appreciate you. Look forward to talking to you again. And like I said, let me know. I'll jump on there, your YouTube, your Facebook group. You can interview me. We'll work it all out. It's on and popping, as they say.
Okay, well, I'm gonna definitely be in touch. Thank you so much.
All right, and this is Surreal Stream TV, and we out. Talk to you next time.
All right.
Peace. Audi 5000. All right, you guys. That was special guest Rebecca. She is definitely a great consumer warrior. She's in this battle, in it to win it. I appreciate her, the time she gave. And again, I will have some of the contact details given at a later date. I like to keep a certain amount of privacy. And it's going down. So definitely follow me on YouTube at Surreal Sunstones. Follow me on TikTok at Surreal Sunstones. Again, TikTok, YouTube. I am your brother Surrealism, a prism of realism. This is Surreal Stream TV, and we out. Definitely check out creditclinicllc.com. And we're going to do a follow-up with our great sister, dive more into her website, what she do, and her ever-expansive knowledge and awareness. Talk to you soon. I'm out.